the Minnesota Vikings trading 2 firsts and probably some other stuff to the Chargers for a guy named Hello everybody, welcome to the lunch table. My name's Evan. Today I'm joined with Joel and Nick, and we're giving you our mock draft 2.0. This time with a twist. We're doing some trades, so it should be a good one. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and you want to see some more draft content. We're going to have one more draft mock come out before the actual draft, and then we'll discuss everything that happened during the draft after that. But today we got mock point 2.0 with trades. Without further ado, Joel, you have the first pick. Who are the Bears taking?
I think it's pretty clear as day, and it's been clear as day since day one. It's going to be Caleb Williams. And you guys all know I'm iffy on it, but I think it's clear as day. It's going to be Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has the upside to be that legit guy, and it's been shown. It's a good pick. I mean, you can't go wrong. You have the pick of whoever you want here. I've seen people potentially saying Jayden Daniels, but I think the clear-cut consensus is it's going to be Caleb Williams, and you get your franchise guy. So you may as well go right off the bat. Start off on a good note. Get Caleb Williams.
Can't argue with that.
I think it's the consensus. I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, there's no way the Bears don't draft Caleb Williams.
No, I'm pretty sure they already gave him the playbook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like more of a coronation than like a surprise at this point.
Yeah. He's talented though. He's very talented. I'll give him that. He's definitely. It'll be interesting to see what he can do with the guys like Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift. I think that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, he's got all the tools he needs, but that's a different topic for a different day. But
yep.
I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens when he gets there.
Yeah. All right, Caleb Williams, number 1. Now I'm up for the Commanders at 2. I'm going to have the Commanders drafting Jayden Daniels from LSU, the Heisman winner. This is where I feel like the draft starts between Drake May and Jayden Daniels here at Washington. But from what I've heard, I think Washington is kind of favoring Daniels a little bit. I think Daniels is going to meet with them, I think, here next week, I think. But Daniels, he turned a lot of heads in his pro day. He did really well. And obviously, he had one of the best seasons in college, winning the Heisman, throwing for having 40 touchdowns. He does have some holes to his game, obviously, but he's a mobile quarterback. He's got a good arm. He's got good touch. He's a little thin. That's really his biggest knock. It's just his frame, but he is tall. He's 6'4", but he's only 210. So he's not a super huge guy like how Drake May is, but I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I think he's going to fit in Cliff Kingsbury's offense like a glove. And I think him having Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Brian Robinson, and now Austin Eckler, I think he's got a decent amount of skill guys around him that he can kind of elevate that team more than what Sam Howell can do. And I think he's going to be a pretty solid quarterback for them. So I'm going to have them going with Jayden Daniels too.
I think that's a good pick. I mean, there's people throughout the draft process right now that are saying that he's the best quarterback in the draft.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, like people are saying, I mean, you're jumping for joy right now.
I mean, yeah, Washington loves Jayden Daniels for whatever reason. I'm not as high on Jayden Daniels as a lot of other people, but he's a good quarterback. He was really good at LSU. He's got the potential to be good. I worry about his frame.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest concern with him. It's just he's not super massive. But I do think Cliff Kingsbury is a good fit for Jaden Daniels. They play a very similar style. Or Cliff Kingsbury coaches the way Jaden Daniels wants to play, so I don't hate that. But I think we'll just go to number 3. The Patriots in this scenario will draft Drake May at number 3. I think there was a little bit of a discussion early in the draft process as to like, will they go quarterback? And I pushed on the last mock draft that they should consider taking Marv because I think he's that good. But as time has gone on, they have to have a quarterback. Yeah. Like, there's no debate about that. They have to have a quarterback going into this year. Drake May's there at 3. I don't think any Patriots fan will complain about that. Has the tools to be an elite quarterback. He's a behemoth of a man. Very good at North Carolina. Reminds me of like a diet Justin Herbert, which I know that he's got like a lot of comp to Justin Herbert, but I mean, that's just how he plays. So yeah, I'll have them take Drake May at 3, and I think Patriots fans will be very happy with that.
It's definitely a far better upgrade to.
It's definitely an upgrade from Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, no kidding. I like it. I mean, like we've said, we've had these conversations before, that we think if this were a different draft class, Drake May would be the number 1 quarterback. And if you're getting him at 3, that's outstanding value. And you need that guy, like you said, going into this season. You can't have uncertainty at that position.
Yeah. And like Drake May, like you mentioned, like he's been compared to kind of Josh Allen and Justin Herbert a little bit, just based on his size and arm strength. But there are some issues with like decision making and stuff, but that can be fixed. But I think overall, I like Drake May a lot. I think he's going to be successful. He was great 2 years ago, and this year he just didn't have that supporting cast around him. And I mean, he's not really going to have that great of a supporting cast in New England. But I think he's going to do pretty well. And like we've all said, it's a debate between whether he goes here or at number 2. So,
you brought that up, and one of the big things that was an issue for Josh Allen when he was coming out was his decision making as well.
Yeah.
So
I was watching.
Spot on.
I think it was a general manager or somebody who does this kind of stuff for a living. And he was like, I said the same stuff that I'm saying about Drake May that I said about Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. So I think Drake May, I'm not going to overreact to the stuff about that I see about Drake May. I'm going to stand that he's going to be all right. All right, Joel, you got 4, Arizona.
Yeah. And I mean,
first off, is Arizona staying in this pick? Because they've been listening to calls.
They have been listening to calls, but I mean, personally, for me, I think anybody with a brain in this spot is taking Marvin Harrison. I mean, I've been hearing a lot more.
That's a good way to put it.
Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely not. If that's how the top 3 plays out and the Cardinals do not select Marvin Harrison Jr., they deserve to have no success for the next 15 years.
I think the big thing is this. It all depends on what happens with New England at 3.
Yeah. If Marv is gone, then I think the Cardinals could trade back. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I'll trade back to like
like
10
lower
or 11.
part of the top 10, yeah.
And there's potential there to go get Rome Odunze.
Yeah.
Like, because for a fact Tennessee's not taking him. Atlanta's not going to take him. Chicago's not going to take him. You're all right there. But that's if that scenario of Marv not being there is taking place. Don't get me wrong. I've been hearing people say that Malik Neighbors is starting to rise, like, potentially to be that top guy, but I just don't. I think Marvin Harrison's a clear-cut guy. He's the wide receiver 1 in this draft. Honestly, one of the best players, if not the best, most athletic and best players in this draft. So I'm going to go Marvin Harrison.
He's
Jr.
a blue-chip guy. Like,
yeah.
There's very few guys that come along that are this good at what they do.
It's a generational talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone
I
that
was
watched
watching-
Marv play at college knows how good he is.
I was watching some guy who was doing like a film breakdown on him, and he was put up like strengths and weaknesses, and it was strengths
Yeah.
was a laundry list, and weaknesses there was none. He's great at literally everything that a receiver needs to be great at. Plus, he's 6'4" and is quick. So I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I get Neighbors is faster, but I would much rather
Okay.
have. Yeah, I can say with almost 100% certainty that Marvin Harrison will be a good NFL player. I find it hard to believe
I
he's
feel
not.
pretty confident saying that as well. It seems pretty, night and day. Nick.
So
What's up?
Oh wait,
Is
no,
this
that's
you
mine.
have five or do I
was
have
about to
five?
say.
I have
You
five.
have 5,
Okay.
Evan.
Well, this is
Evan
where
is-
the first
I think you
trade
also
is
have
going to
11.
happen. Do I?
You think so?
Yeah, I think you do.
8, maybe.
Well,
You do have 11.
can I bring something up real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said trade back to 10. I meant 11. But even
Yeah.
with 10, you're not worried about them taking a wide receiver because they just brought in Mike Williams.
Yeah.
So
The Jets, for that matter.
yes, the Jets.
But this, in my opinion, is going to be the first trade that happens, and it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings trading 2 firsts and probably some other stuff to the Chargers for a guy named J.J. McCarthy. And I know we all have different thoughts on J.J. McCarthy, but for the Vikings standpoint, I'll talk about the Vikings standpoint first. They have Sam Darnold at quarterback. And you still have T.J. Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, all these guys. And they're kind of a team that I believe is still in a win-now position. You lost Kirk, but I think this team around that is still in a win-now position. And is J.J. McCarthy ready to be a plug-and-play guy? I don't believe so. I think he would benefit from sitting behind Sam Darnold for half the season and then coming up. But I think you have to kind of swing for the fences here. They traded with the Texans to get 23 for a reason, and I think that was to make a big trade up to get McCarthy.
Yep.
McCarthy, like we've mentioned, he has the biggest knock on him is we haven't seen him really make a lot of throws that are NFL type throws, but he's got NFL size. He's obviously a winner, and he's got good accuracy. He's got a pretty good arm that we saw that in the pro day. So he's got the intangibles to be a good quarterback. We just haven't seen it on film as much as you would like to when you're drafting in the top 5. But I think it's fair to take a chance on him. I don't completely agree with trading up 2 first-round picks to get him, but you kind of have to do what you got to do to get your quarterback. And if Minnesota thinks he's that guy, then they're going to take it. They're going to trade up at 5. And for the Chargers, I think they're a prime trade down candidate because we talked about this in our AFC free agency grades. They don't have anybody really on that roster. It's Quentin Johnston, it's Gus Edwards, and then it's Justin Herbert and Josh Palmer. Like, that's basically it. So I would much rather trade back at 11, see if one of those receivers fall, potentially get a blue chip tackle, and then in 23 you can look at other positions there. But I think it makes sense for both teams. So I got the Vikings trading up to take J.J. McCarthy at 5.
And I just think this is what's going to happen. Some team is going to trade up to take him, whether that be here, whether that be, I don't know, maybe even the Giants take him. Who knows?
Yeah, the Giants are another.
There's been some rumbling of the Giants maybe getting J.J. McCarthy. It's just how much do you want to trade up to go up one spot? It's like
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Bears did it for Mitch Trubisky, and that's a colossal failure. So,
Well, and my thing is, if you know a team like the Vikings are willing to go out and do what they're about, what we think is going to happen, and you're the Giants, moving up one spot is not worth that at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well,
and
because you
especially
have to consider,
go for it.
you got Denver, who needs a quarterback, Minnesota needs a quarterback, and then the Giants are in talk too. So there's some bidders up there.
You even got the Raiders too in
Yeah,
there.
the Raiders could potentially trade up as well.
I think it just makes sense. I know I'm definitely the highest on McCarthy out of us four, but I even predicted this a little. I even said this a while back when we did the Vikings.
Yeah, he did.
So I think I've been thinking this is a possibility for a long time, with especially once they couldn't bring Kirk Cousins back. So
yeah. All right, Nick. Giants at 6.
Yeah. If it plays out this way, I had them taking Malik Neighbors in the last mock draft. That's not going to change. Malik Neighbors, I think, not as much as like a Drake May situation, but I feel like if he was in a wide receiver class that didn't include Marvin Harrison Jr., he'd be very clearly the top guy at this point. Tested really good at the combine, very good deep threat. I wouldn't quite call him blue chip, but he's right there as well. He's got the potential to be an all-pro level receiver. And the Giants need somebody for Daniel Jones or whoever they get in the near future. I think Malik Neighbors will give them the jolt in the receiving core that they need. And he's also just a stud, 1,500 yards last year for LSU. A very, very good receiver. And I think it's kind of a consensus that if it plays that way, the Giants will draft Malik Neighbors at 6. So I'll keep him with that.
I like it.
All right, Joel, Tennessee.
Tennessee. I think this has the makings of 2 positions, really. I could see this even potentially being I don't know. Maybe a trade spot, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go Tennessee taking Joe Alt. They need help on the offensive line.
That's an understatement.
It's the most glaring hole on that team.
Yeah, well, they're getting a generational tackle.
And this dude's a behemoth of a man. He's a ginormous dude. And, I mean, watching Notre Dame games, he's got all the intangibles to make it work in the NFL. And you get a guy that you can lock up for a long-term potential. I think that's a home run pick. You get the best one in the draft. Go all in for it.
Yeah, me and Evan were talking about Joe Alt a little bit last night. He's like the best O-line prospect since at least Quentin Nelson.
Yeah.
I think he could even be better than that. We might be talking about like Orlando Pace level.
Look at the Notre Dame offensive lineman there.
They're O-line university in Notre Dame.
Oh yeah,
it's one of them. That's for dang sure.
But yeah, you're getting Hodor, at tackle. That's who you're getting. He's 6. I cannot believe that he is 6'9". 6'9". Nate, who's gonna pass that? Like what edge rusher is gonna like
beat him? He's pretty agile.
I know.
Pretty agile dude.
He's a freak.
Yeah, he had a 9.92 RAS score.
That's
at
absurd.
6'9", 320.
He needs to be drug tested. That's what needs to happen, because that is terrifying. I don't want to have to play him twice a year. I don't know why all my division rivals are getting guys that are like generational talents. I don't want to play him twice a year. But yeah, I think that Joe Alt to the Titans is as clear as day. I actually think that this is like the second most locked in pick of the draft besides Caleb Williams to the Bears. I don't see a way in where the Titans don't draft Joe Alt.
It just makes sense.
Yeah, it just makes sense. They badly need an O-lineman. They need someone to protect Will Levis, let him actually throw the ball. And that's a cornerstone for the next 10 to 15 years, if there ever was one. So yeah, Joe Alt to the Titans, slam dunk. Can't hate on it.
Yeah. it just makes sense. All right, I'm up with the Falcons at 8. I think last time we went Dallas Turner, and I think defense is still a need. You got Kirk. You kind of fixed that receiving room. They brought in a lot of weapons on offense. So I think you look on the defensive side now. But I'm just, for the sake of being different, I'm not going to go Dallas Turner. I'm going to go Jared Verse. Verse, I think he is more of a, I guess, pro-ready now pass rusher. He's a strong guy. He was going to be a first-round pick last year, but he came back. He's got powerful hands, quick hands. He's really everything you look for in a defensive end. He did well in the combine. He had a 9.53 RAS score, had a 35-inch vertical, 4.58 40. I think he's a beast, and I think it's a pick between whether the Falcons like him or Turner better, and I'm going to give the edge to Verse today.
I like it. And with the move that they made this offseason to go get Kirko, good old Kirko chains, it just
they
made
need guys that can help them win now. And
exactly.
Jared Verse is definitely more pro-ready than Dallas Turner is.
Exactly.
Yeah, Dallas Turner has a higher ceiling, but...
Exactly. I that's a great pick.
All right, Nick, are you at 9?
Yeah, I'm at 9. Chicago, second first-round pick.
This is an interesting one.
They got some options.
Honestly,
I did not expect Dallas Turner to fall past Atlanta. I'm just being real with you. They need edge rushers. They need O linemen. They need a tackle, preferably. They could get Rome Odunze and just have a gross receiving core. This is interesting. I think the last time I had them taking Rome Odunze, I'll switch it up. I'll take Olu Fashanu or however you say it.
Nice
at 9.
Yeah, Fashanu.
Yeah,
I think it's Fashanu.
Fashanu. He came out and corrected everyone on how to say it.
Yeah,
but
people.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Olu.
Yeah, Olu beast as well at a tackle. I don't know why there's a lot of guys that would be like. We also talked about this last night too, Evan. This draft class is more absurd by the day. Because I feel like in most drafts, Olufashinu would be the top tackle if Joe Alt wasn't there. But yeah, I think if you draft, you've already got a good receiver in Rome Odunze, and you've got Cole Kmet. That's another option on the receiving core. I think if you give the Chicago more of an O-line to help protect your franchise guy. You also got Keenan Allen. That just now popped in my head that they got Keenan Allen for a 4th-round pick. How did they even do that? But, I mean, you don't really need a receiver as much as you did when we did the mock draft 1.0. So, I actually like Fashanu here. Protect your franchise guy, get that offense humming. And, yeah. So, we'll switch it up a little bit.
Fashanu, he can move from into guard as well.
He's very versatile.
Because they just drafted Darnell Wright last year, and they sold Braxton Jones, so he could fit in right at guard. And then if Braxton Jones or Darnell Wright doesn't pan out how they think they could, you can put him right back at tackle. So I think this is a good pick. I think Olu, like you said, Nick, if Joe Alt wasn't in here, he'd be the number 1 guy. All right, Joel, you got the Jets. See if you can redeem your Jets from last year.
This is a tough one.
Look at the board.
Honestly, scroll back up. There's 2 things I'm looking at right now. Do I do it, Evan?
Whatever you want. I think there's two guys that are staring me right in the face.
I'm gonna
think
go
you
Brock
probably think the
Bowers.
same.
I'm gonna go Brock Bowers.
Big Brock
Was that-
Bowers.
It just makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
I was thinking him or Fuaga.
Those were the two I was in between. Because
Yeah.
I in the last pod, I'm pretty sure I gave them Fuaga.
Yeah, because I took Bowers at 5 to the Chargers.
Yes. If it came down to this, I think you go with best player available, and that's Brock Bowers. But Fuaga to them just makes sense though too. They need a guy that's plug and play and is ready to go from the get go, and Fuaga is that guy.
Yeah.
But in this situation, I think you go Brock Bowers. I think you go best player available. And we talk about, you guys just brought up the idea that this draft is so deep. Like, you have a generational tight end right here.
Yeah. That's what me and Nick were talking about last night. I was
talked
like,
about
there's
a lot of stuff last night.
Yeah, we did.
Sounds like
but
it.
I said there was probably 4 guys that you could deem generational at their respective positions. You got Brock Bowers at tight end, Marv at wide receiver, Joe Alt at tackle, and then Caleb at quarterback. And I don't think we've really seen that before. And so, I mean, I think just adding another weapon to Aaron Rodgers, moving with you got Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams, just trying to capitalize really on that window that you have with Aaron Rodgers. They upgrade the offensive line, and free agency, so it's not as pressing of a need. So you kind of have the luxury right now of going BPA.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with Brock Bowers.
No. And this just hurts for the Chargers here.
It does.
Not really.
Actually, no, never mind. Now that I look at the board.
The board's gotten interesting for the Chargers.
Yeah. They've got options now.
Because usually here is where I look at like a J.C. Latham type guy. But there is one guy here that might
I didn't
not
see him.
be. And you got to remember they have that pick at 23 as well. So
That's very
for this one, I'm going to stop at the Rome Odunze slide. I think he's going to go to the Chargers. I think this is a perfect move for the Chargers.
Perfect scenario for the Chargers if this happens.
Yeah.
You trade back from 5 where you were more than likely going to draft Odunze or Neighbors. And then you drop back and Odunze falls right into your lap. You get an extra first-round pick. And like we talked about how deep this class is, I mean, there's right here 3 or 4 guys that I can say confidently that are first-round tackles. So I think it would be a toss-up between tackle. But I think if Odunze is there, it's pretty hard to pass up on him. He's kind of like if Marvin Harrison wasn't a blue chip, is what Rome Odunze is.
Yeah.
Rome Odunze is big dude, great deep threat guy. Had a great year at Washington. He's quick. He's got great hands. He's good at tracking the ball. He does a lot of things really well. And he's another one that it's kind of like a 1A, 1B, and then he's that tier right there below, but still really close. So I think it's a home run for the Chargers, and they would love if Odunze falls into their lap at 11.
Yeah, that would be a slam dunk trade for the Chargers. They trade out, they still get probably their guy. They might like Malik Neighbors, but I mean Rome Odunze is not a bad consolation prize, and you get another first round talent. Like, come on now.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
No.
All right, Nick. Broncos at 12.
Yeah. I had them going edge. I did a couple mock drafts before we started a little bit earlier. I had them going edge every time, but the edge was Jared Verse or Laiatu Latu. And Dallas Turner is still sitting here. So I'm going to take Dallas Turner. The Broncos, this is going to be another topic later on and probably close to the summertime. I don't think the Broncos are going to be that good this year. They also need a quarterback. I think the Broncos are going to be pretty bad this year, actually.
Yeah.
They need a quarterback, but I don't think you can pick Bo Nix or Michael Penix with the 12th pick. Like, I don't think that's a thing that you could do. But Dallas Turner, a little bit more raw of a prospect, but his ceiling is enormous. And he can kind of grow with the rest of this team. Their biggest weakness on defense is edge. And Dallas Turner fills that need immediately. So, yeah, I'll have him drafted the Broncos at 12. I think that's a great pick for him.
Yeah. And, I mean, we've talked about how we think Dallas Turner's the best edge rusher in the draft, and he falls to you at 12. Nice consolation prize for sitting still and not taking J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah. I think they could consider Bo Nix here. I do think it's a little rich, but in my opinion, I think Bo Nix is a guy that Sean Payton's going to love. He's got great accuracy, good in the pocket. I think he kind of just fits the mold of what Sean Payton likes as a quarterback. But do they think that he's not going to be there in the late first, second round area? Do they feel that pressure of we're just going to have to take a guy that we like and hope that it doesn't blow up in our face? But edge is a big need too, and Dallas Turner overall is probably a better player than Bo Nix. So.
Yeah. I'm up.
All right. Yep.
So there's 3 routes that I'm considering here. 2 options are on our screen right now. The third option, I think you guys can get a hint on where I'm thinking, is at quarterback. Potentially with who you brought up, Bo Nix. I don't know. I feel like they have so many holes as is. I just don't know. Their quarterback situation is so bad.
They got Gardner Minshew. Don't diss him.
He's a bridge guy for next year, then. He's a bridge guy.
Don't diss my mustachioed hero.
Honestly, I think in that case, with Gardner Minshew, I think you use him as a bridge to get you to next year, and then you draft a quarterback this year, especially now that the top 4 guys are gone. So with that being the case, I'm between – give me Fuaga. I'll go with Fuaga. I was between him and Mitchell there. I think both options are great. Both options are a position of need, and they love the Raiders tend to want to build around the trenches. They want to control the trenches. Their defensive line is dominant. They need to try and do it on the offensive side. A couple years ago, they were one of the best running teams in the league with Josh Jacobs leading the helm. Mm-hmm. They need help on the offensive line, and beefing it up with Fuaga would make sense. He's a mauler. He can get it done in the trenches.
Yeah, plus they came out, I think, today and said they are not going to be looking at quarterback with that 13th pick. So odds are they'll go corner or tackle.
And that makes sense because honestly, like Bo Nix, Michael Penix, I mean,
yeah, they're not in the position like the Broncos are to where they have to reach on
a guy.
Yeah.
Nick, you got anything?
Yeah, I agree with I don't think Gardner Minshew. Like I saw Gardner Minshew. He's competent.
He is. I saw him
at the NFL
too.
Level. Yeah, he's.
We were
competent.
at the same game.
We were at the same game. I don't want to talk about that game. He was a competent quarterback at the NFL level. He was this close to being a division champion. Like he can get it done for a short period of time. I think the more you rely on him, the worse off you are. But like for a team that just needs a guy there for a year, I mean, he's the guy that can get it done. Meanwhile, the Broncos have Jarrett Stidham, so I think it's a little bit more reasonable than the Raiders to look that way. No disrespect to Jarrett Stidham. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
You mean the Broncos?
Yeah, the Broncos. But yeah, I think that Fuaga is a good selection for the Raiders here.
All right, I'm up at 14 with the Saints. I think this one's pretty easy. I'm going to go J.C. Latham, mainly because we don't know what's going to happen with Ryan Ramczyk. Odds are he's probably going to retire soon. And I think it's too rich for a quarterback if you want to look there. Receiver, I guess, but none of like the real like blue chip guys are here. So I think you get Latham, who I think is the best right tackle in this class. I think he is pro ready. I think he is really, really good. I mean, 6'6", 335. He's quick. He's got good leverage. Great hands. He's just a really solid right tackle, and I think he's going to be a guy that they can build around because their offensive line is getting a little old. Plus, you have Trevor Penning on that left side, who really hasn't panned out the way they wanted to. So I think Latham to be a left or right tackle, I think he could be a plug and play guy right there.
I like it. It makes sense.
Yeah, the Saints need someone on the O-line.
The offensive line has been a struggle, and they're all it's just an aging team.
Mm-hmm.
They need something, and
they keep cheating the salary cap.
Yeah,
and they gave Derek Carr $160 million. They thought he would be the savior for that team, and it's like everyone is like, no, he's not going to take you to where he needs to go.
Everyone knew he was not going to do that.
They already were going to have to rebuild when Drew Brees left, and then they gave Derek Carr not an absurd amount of money, but it was just a bad situation for him to go to, and now they set themselves back. Like, when that time comes where they have to do a full reset, it's going to be rough. It's going to be like 4 or 5 years of rebuilding in probably 3-4 years. It's going to be rough for New Orleans when that time comes.
All right, Nick, your Colts.
Yeah. I mean, as a Colts fan, I love the way this board has fallen. We talked about this last night too. I think they very clearly, I think that if Brock Bowers had fallen one more spot, if he was still there at 11, I am doing everything in my power to try to trade for him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was taken with the Jets at 10. And I think at that point, the biggest need on this team is corner, and you've got your pick of the lot. Like, just take whoever you feel is your guy. The question is, who is the most pro-ready now? Because obviously the Texans just got Stephon Diggs. So you need a guy that can help you now. Because this is a team that could potentially be contending for the AFC South this year if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy. But if you go up against the Texans twice and your secondary is as bad as it was down the stretch of last year, you're going to get torched. Like, it's not going to be fun. I think Terrion Arnold is the most pro-ready of the corners that are still left. And I had them taking Quinyon Mitchell last time, who I still think is a stud at corner. But as long as our front office feels like this is their guy, I don't really care who they take. Between Terrion Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell, even Nate Wiggins. I think that's a little bit of a reach, but I wouldn't be too upset with it. But I think Terrion Arnold at 15 is a slam dunk for them, personally.
It makes sense, especially with all the points that you brought up, especially that Diggs moving out there.
I'm so mad that happened, dude.
Dude, I saw that, and I was at school, and the kids that I teach were telling me all about it, and my mouth dropped. I was in awe by that.
Yeah, that was a crazy trade.
We talked about that in depth in a separate video, which if
the
you
emergency
haven't watched,
pod.
Go watch it.
The emergency pod.
Yeah, we talked about that in depth for like 30 minutes. But they need someone in their secondary. They've got Juju Brents, but they just re-signed Julian Blackmon, which I thought was all right, but they need someone else.
Yeah. I agree. This is a spot I could see a potential trade.
I also could see a trade here at this point.
Let's do a trade. What are you thinking?
Who's
Shake it up a little bit.
I've got 21. Who's at 24? 24 is
Dallas.
Nah, they're nah.
Tampa Bay could trade up maybe for like Latu or Byron. Yeah, maybe Latu.
Could you see a potential trade up from the
Buffalo,
Rams?
maybe.
The Rams.
Yeah. The Rams trade up for like Byron Murphy.
Like a Byron Murphy or something like that along those lines.
I mean, if they think the Bengals could take him at 18, try to jump the Bengals.
Well, even Jacksonville in there too.
Yeah,
but
I don't hate that.
I mean, it's an idea. I'm just not sold on a whole lot here, if I'm being totally honest with you. But I feel that it's just tough. I don't know.
Now, you know what? The Bengals are going to trade with the Seattle Seahawks to get whoever they feel like is their guy.
Taking?
Yeah, hold on. Let me figure. I
got to
get this trade done.
Let's go for it.
Weaver's going to be really mad when I don't take an offensive lineman here.
But this spot, why would you?
Yeah. Hold on. Trade.
What would else? They would probably be throwing in what? One of these extra.
A fourth?
Yeah. Probably I'd say probably like a third round.
I would say I think it would be
two spots.
I think it would be a 4, personally.
Okay.
In that range.
To trade up 2 spots. A 4.
Because in years past, you guys remember that one year we had that large run on wide receivers?
Yes.
Yeah.
With like Treylon Burks and all those guys. There was one spot where at one point where they did trade up 2 spots, and it was like a 4 or a 5, and they swapped a 7 in there type thing.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, the Bengals.
We don't know exactly what the thing is, but
compensation would be, but
yeah. The
All
Bengals
right,
are going to trade with Seattle. They are at 16 on the clock, and they're going to draft Byron Murphy. Their run defense was abysmal last year. Like, the Bengals' run defense was one of the worst in the league last year. They just lost DJ Reader was it DJ Reader to the Lions?
Yes.
Yeah, they just lost DJ Reader. D-tackle is a major need for them, and their run defense was awful last year. Byron Murphy's arguably the best run stopper in the draft. So I don't hate this pick at all. I think the O-line class and the O-tackle class is particularly deep, so, I mean, you could potentially get a guy in the second round. Also, this is a thing that we've talked about numerous times. I don't know about on the pod. I don't think the Bengals O-line is as bad as people say it is. Like, the Bengals offensive line currently is like a slightly below average, like probably in that low teens, high 20 range.
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, it's not like ideal, but I think at this point their run defense was awful last year.
It was atrocious.
It was really, really bad.
You could just say it. It was atrocious.
It was really bad.
Terrible.
So I think Byron Murphy at 16 to the Bengals is a good selection for them. They need someone to stop getting gashed on the ground. And I think they can get a tackle later on, a tackle or a guard, someone to fill in a spot to O-lineman.
It's a deep offensive line class.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of guys.
Also,
as long as you hit on it.
J.C. Latham and Fuaga were both gone. So those were the two guys I was looking at for the Bengals, but they were both gone by that point.
The only other one I've seen potentially mocked to him, if you go
or Mims.
Mims, yeah.
Yeah.
Mims was one I was.
Mims is huge, but he's raw, so he can sit behind Trent Brown. But this team is kind of a team that needs guys that can win now. And Byron Murphy very well could be a plug-and-play defensive tackle.
Yeah. So does that mean, Evan?
I have 17, and then you'll have 18, Joel. You'll have back-to-back with 18 and 19 with the Rams.
Yeah. Yep.
Jacksonville. What does Jacksonville need? A lot of things. They just re-signed Josh Allen, so they don't really need
an edge rusher.
They really don't need edge.
You could look at a Fautanu, or like a JPJ, but I don't think they're gonna get JPJ. I think I think we're gonna go Quinyon Mitchell here. You get a corner, they need some corner depth. And Quinyon Mitchell, like Nick said, I think Quinyon Mitchell is the best corner in this class. He's super athletic. He's got good size at 6 foot 196. He's a great tackler and run and pass. I think he's going to be pretty good, and I think adding some quickness to that secondary in Jacksonville is going to help him because you're in the AFC, and I mean even in your division, like Nick said, you got to get guys that can guard Stephon Diggs and the Texans, and I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to help him do that.
That's who I was thinking/considering at that spot. I think people have made the thought with his athleticism, just being that athletic freak that he is, he could be that number one corner off the board.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the pick. That was the guy that was staring me dead in the eyes there.
Yeah, I saw Mitchell sitting there. I'm like, he's got to go here. We had them taking a corner. I think we had him taking Nate Wiggins in our last draft. But, I mean, if he's staring you in the face, especially it's a similar situation with the Colts. They need someone to guard the Texans trio. They got to have someone.
And I forget who their other ones are because they lost Darius. They lost, what's his face? He went back to the Rams. Is it Williams?
I think so.
Darius Williams, maybe, is what his name is.
I'll look up and see what they're. Yeah, so right now at corner they have Tyson Campbell,
which is solid. He's all right.
Then they have. That's really it.
Yeah, they need They need someone.
They need something. They
and then like
that.
Ronald Darby. So they need a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
they need somebody. That pick just makes even more sense now.
Yeah. All right, so Joel, you have 18.
Well, even here, you traded back. You got a little extra compensation, and the guy that you probably considered still at this spot is still here. I'm going to go Troy Fautanu. I still struggle saying his name.
Fautanu, I think is how you pronounce it.
Well, and the big thing with him is he plays tackle, but you can swing him into guard. It's a
he's
versatile
guy.
Well,
and they need help on the interior O line in particular.
Exactly. So that's, I feel, a good pick. You get compensation in return for trading back, and it helps you out big time. Now with 19, you're upset about not deciding to make the trade up to get your guy in Byron Murphy. But there is a little compensation prize here. You're going to take Latu. They need help on the defensive line. I mean, you lost Aaron Donald. You could use the help on the defensive interior, but, I mean, after Murphy just went, you kind of pivot, and I think Latu would be a great pick for them to have at this spot.
Yeah. All right, I'm up at 20, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're at 20.
All right. I'm going to have a proposal trade. We'll discuss this. I think this is a spot where the Bills trade up to take
for a wide receiver.
I think both teams do need a wide receiver.
I was going to say both teams need one is the only issue.
The Bills need one more.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Bills could, maybe throw in a first and.
Whose pick is that anyway?
Pittsburgh.
28.
Yeah, no, I meant whose pick of us is 28.
So this is.
Is it me?
I think it's you, Joel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in. Let's go for it.
All right. So what would be the compensation probably?
A first
And maybe like
and
a future second or a future third?
I would say let's go a future. I would say a four. Let's try four, see what that looks like. But I think it would be probably a future three.
So you think future three?
Yeah. So take the
How do
four off, go future three.
I 2025 third.
Yeah.
Fourth. Sounds good to me.
And
All right.
you're taking Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who you're drafting.
Yeah, that's who you're trading up for. Brian Thomas, I think he has so much potential. I think he's going to be really good. He was in that offense with Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels, but he really hasn't hit his ceiling yet. He's 6'4", 205. He's an electric athlete. Let me look at this combine real quick. But I think he's going to be really good. And with the Bills losing Stephon Diggs, they really need to hit on their wide receiver pick. And I think I like A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin. I like all those guys, but I think you get
don't
aggressive.
Like Pat McConkey?
Not for the Bills.
I know. I'm just messing.
But I think you get aggressive because I think Pittsburgh very well would love to have Brian Thomas on their team. But I think you get aggressive and you trade for a guy who just ran a 4.34 at 6'4". You can't really argue with that.
He has a vertical of 38.5 too.
Yeah, and so I think that gives Josh Allen a big athletic receiver to kind of fill in that Diggs role because right now it's just Curtis Samuel and Shakir, and you can't compete in the AFC with those guys. So I think getting aggressive, trading Brian Thomas. Would Pittsburgh do that? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're not as high on Brian Thomas. Maybe they really like A.D. Mitchell or Xavier Worthy, one of those guys. So maybe they would. But for the sake of this mock, we're going to have the Bills get aggressive and take Brian Thomas.
Perfect. I like it.
All right, he was 21.
I have 21. Miami.
Yes.
I think they will go O-line here as well. It's just, I think this is what they'll do. I also think they need guys to win now. Because Tyreek Hill's not going to be there forever, and I had them taking Amarius Mims last time, so I'm going to switch it up and have them take Jackson Powers-Johnson.
JPJ.
If you take away positional value, he might just be the best O-lineman, period, in the draft. Centers are probably the least important position on the offensive line, but they've been mocked with him a lot as of recent, and Fatanu is gone, which I know they've been eyeing up for a while now. Mm-hmm. But they need help on the offensive line, especially the interior as well. Jackson Powers-Johnson is arguably the most pro-ready O-lineman in the entire class. So I think that'll help with them a lot. So I'll take JPJ here at 21.
All right.
I like it. I like it a lot. I get the Eagles now, right?
Yep, Philly.
I think there's two positions that you really focus on, and it's both on defense. I don't like how the edge rushers are at this moment in time a whole lot. There's a couple guys. Chop Robinson would be a guy that you would look at. But I think I'm going to go with Nate Wiggins here. Their pass defense was terrible last year. They brought back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Hopefully he can stay healthy for him. But I think bringing in a guy like Wiggins is going to play major factor in helping them out this upcoming year. He's probably one of the better cover man corners in the draft this year. So you need somebody to help you out a little bit. So go with Nate Wiggins here.
I don't hate that. Their pass defense was atrocious last year. It was like worse than the NFL level bad. And that was one of the main reasons that they flamed out, is because they could not cover a receiver down the stretch of that year. So, yeah, I think Nate Wiggins is more beneficial to them than Coop DeJean is right now. I think it's the other guy that you would look at. So, yeah, I like that pick for Philadelphia a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm up with the Chargers again. I got both Chargers picks today. And this is where they go offensive tackle, Amarius Mims. You're getting a absolute behemoth, like we mentioned, 6'7", 340, and he's another one that's super athletic. He is very raw and has dealt with injury, but you pair him up next to Rashawn Slater to kind of help out. Justin Herbert. He had a 5.07 40 at 300 something pounds. 340. 6'7", 340. And ran a 5.40. So he's an absolute athlete. His only problem is he's raw. But I think the Chargers would be happy to go out of this draft with Amarius Mims and Rome Odunze.
I mean, I would hope so.
I mean, you could argue one of the better drafts, day one drafts that we've had on here. Like, I mean, obviously the top one, as long as they don't mess it up, is the Bears. But if you make a trade back and you get two studs like that, go for it. That's amazing.
You can't complain with that.
What'd you say, Nick?
I said you can't complain with that at all if you're a Chargers fan. I think that there's a couple guys here for Dallas that I'm looking at, but I think they can get them both a few picks down the road. So
you thinking a potential trade?
I think that this could be a case in where they trade with the Cardinals.
That's who I was thinking.
Yeah, I think that I think there's a guy that the Cardinals would really benefit to have currently. And the Cowboys can get a guy that's a little bit further back. So obviously we'll swap first, and then let me try a future fourth. We'll go with that. I think that the Cardinals have been mocked a lot with Kool-Aid McKinstry for their second pick. They've also been marked a lot with Chop Robinson at their second pick. But I think that Kool-Aid will go here. They need help in the secondary. They addressed their O-line a little bit with Paris Johnson last year. Let's see if he still pans out. But yeah, I think that Kool-Aid will go to Arizona at 24 if this is how that were to play out.
Yeah, I think Kool-Aid probably could fall to 27 if the board falls like this, because you still have Coop DeJean. But I mean, trade up to get your guy. Don't hit it.
I think this is right around the range where you see a Cooper DeJean or a Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yeah.
Though. This is perfect timing to have a trade up like
Mid
this.
to late first round.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, so Joel, you have the Packers?
Green Bay Packers. This works out perfect for me. Give me Cooper DeJean.
That's why I didn't draft Coop DeJean, because I know that the Packers drafted Xavier McKinney, but, I mean, Coop can play safety and corner. Like, he can do whatever.
He can do anything. He's unreal. And he's not afraid to hit either.
Yeah, he's got a boomstick. For
he's unbelievable.
Upper body. He's good. He's slid a little bit as the combine process has gone on, but his football IQ is off the charts.
Because he can
off
really
the charts.
test.
Yeah.
It's off the charts. He's athletic as all get out. And
he's versatile.
And that's something that when Evan and I did the NFC North predictions on what they need to do this offseason, this is what we said. They need a versatile guy that can play multiple positions. You don't know what's going to happen here in the next year or so with Jair Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
You needed help at safety. You needed help in your perimeter as is. So may as well take a guy that can be as versatile as all get out that you can use all over the place.
Plus, if you want to, you can move Jair to the boundary and play Coop in like a slot corner if you really want to. That bad. Yeah. Because I think that having a good slot corner like a Trent McDuffie is becoming more and more important as the NFL's gone on. And Coop fits that like a glove. I think there are some issues with him being a boundary corner just because of his size and his athleticism a little bit. But, I mean, you slot him in as a slot or a nickel, and you've got a stud there. That is a perfect fit for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was one that me and Joel, when we did that video, we just said this one just made sense.
The only other option there that I would consider was the next guy on the board.
Yeah.
Graham Barton.
So, yeah.
Which I'm going to have him going to Tampa.
Nice.
Because you look at that, who just retired from them?
Well, Bakhtiari got released
for Tampa Bay.
Oh, for Tampa. My bad. I was thinking.
What's his name? I know who you're talking about. The center, the guy with a bunch of knee issues.
Ryan Jansen.
Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah.
Jensen.
So I mean, you got Wirfs, but then the interior is kind of bad, and Barton projects more as a guard. So I think he could be a plug and play guard for them. And I think with the way that the board's fallen, I think you're happy with that. I think Barton's a good player. I love his versatility at guard and tackle. He's quick. He's explosive. And I think he's going to be a plug and play guard for the Bucs day one.
Yeah. For sure.
Like it.
And Nick, you got Dallas?
Yeah, I got Dallas. I was actually looking at Graham Barton falling here. If he was still there, I would take him. And there's a few guys here, especially because they just lost Tyron Smith. I could do something responsible, and then I could do something really fun.
Do something. What was our goal with this one?
What we would do, but
but
also like a little bit.
Halfway
a little
realistic.
bit of realism. Yeah. With the way this has fallen, let's have some fun. Give me A.D. Mitchell to Dallas here. Pair him up with CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. You talk about a duo. Texas boy playing in the AT&T Stadium. He's going to be pumped as all get out. And he tested crazy at the combine. Like, you talk about a riser at the receiver position, A.D. Mitchell's that guy. Freak jump ball getter, can do it whatever you need him to do. Staying home in Texas. You talk about a duo there. That is a duo with CeeDee Lamb and A.D. Mitchell.
Plus, they did just release Michael Gallup.
Gallup. That's one of the other reasons I was looking at wide receiver here.
I like that. That's a fun pick.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's a pick I could see Jerry Jones making.
Yeah, because of course.
If the board falls how this is, I understand it. But then that makes your pick, Joel, at 28 a little bit harder.
Well, isn't it you?
Is it me?
Yeah, because you traded with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have Pittsburgh.
Do I have Pittsburgh? Oh, shoot. I think you got to get a receiver.
Is it Ladd? Is it Troy Franklin?
Is it
Xavier Worthy?
Xavier Worthy? I don't know. This is a tough one. I'll go Xavier Worthy. Get some speed. Back-to-back Texas receivers. Get some speed on the edge to go with George Pickens. Worthy is not just a pass receiver. He's a very polished receiver. And it just helps that he's really fast. I mean, he broke the combine record. Get some speed. Help to kind of take the pressure off of Russ and or Fields, whoever ends up playing. And yeah, you kind of build that room that is outside George Pickens pretty bad.
Yeah. I think you have back-to-back here, boss man.
I got Detroit too. Do I do a fun pick and just make their defensive tackles just disgusting with Jerson Newton?
Well, we
You
talked
can
about
make
that
their
one
edges
happening.
disgusting too with Aiden Hutchinson.
That's true.
Chop.
Yeah, you could go chop
Yeah.
here. They don't need O-line at all.
No.
Their biggest need is corner, though.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know. Maybe. There's a guy. Can I bring this up?
I'm open.
There's a guy at corner that has sneaky potential to be a first rounder.
Lassiter?
Huh?
Lassiter?
TJ Tampa.
Oh, DJ Tampa. Yeah, he's good.
He has the potential. He has the potential to be a first rounder, in my opinion. He's one of those guys on like your top 25 big board.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got the intangibles to be very good. I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, I like TJ Tampa.
They do need a corner. That's who they need. And
Yeah.
they kind of got screwed with Kool-Aid being drafted ahead of them.
Yeah. I'll stick with corner because I don't think anybody really else on the board makes much sense. Because Guyton, I don't really know if he can project as a guard. I don't know if Morgan projects as a guard. So I'm gonna go Kamari Lassiter. I think he like usual. I think he could be a first round pick. I mean, Georgia defenders are always not a bad thing to get.
Yeah.
But he's a super smart guy. He's got really good hand placement. He's got good control, good change of direction. He's good in run defense. He's a really good tackler. I think he's a guy that, with how the board's fallen, he's probably my best corner. Still there, and so
Yeah.
I think if you're set on a corner, I think you take the best one. In your opinion, and in my opinion, I think that's Kamari Lassiter.
I like it. He's one of those guys. It's at the very end of the draft, the first round. There's a bunch of guys. There's a lot of guys at this bottom part that have the potential to be first rounders.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I would not be surprised.
Oh yeah, if I'm a team in the top of the second round, you're gonna get some good players.
Well, even I even thought about this, having a team trade back in to the first round.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, I can see that. Who is 30?
I have 30.
I get the Niners.
Yeah, the Ravens, they need a receiver. They also need a tackle. They need a secondary receiver to pair up with Zay Flowers. They also need a tackle. I don't love the guy I'm looking at receiver wise is Troy Franklin. I don't love the way that he fits in the Ravens system. So I'm going to go Tyler Guyton here at 30.
That's where I was going to go.
Yeah. I'll go Tyler Guyton there. Looking at him that was the responsible guy for Dallas because they lost Tyron Smith. But the Ravens also need a tackle. Tyler Guyton, very good first rounder, late first, early second rounder. You're getting a quality player in him. I think the Ravens need help in the tackle position, so they will take him there.
Yeah. Joel, I think you have somebody staring you in the face with this pick. In my opinion, at least.
But the top two guys are both tempting as all get out, in my opinion. Give me Chop.
Chop.
Give me Chop.
Give him
Add to the
Chop.
edge rushing. Huh?
Give him Chop.
Give me Chop. I mean, it's not the biggest. I mean, you lost Chase Young, which I think Chop's going to overall be better than Chase Young. Why not? You can always use help on the defensive line, especially edge rush. Go alongside Nick Bosa. You're all set.
I thought you were going to go Jerzon Newton to replace Armstead.
I thought about it, but I was in between the two.
Do I make the Chiefs' interior defensive line nasty?
Have fun running.
Yes, because they need it.
They have
With
Chris
Jerzon
Jones.
Newton
But
and
they could
Chris
always use
Jones.
another
I mean,
one.
yeah, but they could also use a receiver. I know they got Hollywood.
Is this a Lad McConkey?
Lad McConkey
Lad
selection?
McConkey.
Lad McConkey
Sure.
first round sighting?
I've seen people say they could use tackles as well. But I don't love the tackles here. Kingsley Suamataia could be potential.
Yeah.
We'll go Lad.
Freaking
Well,
Lad.
Lad McConkey
Lad
first round
McConkey is
signing.
the first rounder, ladies and gentlemen.
You ride in Hollywood. You got Rashid Rice, but we'll see how much he actually
We'll see.
plays. And then you need that third guy, and I think Lad is kind of like the perfect slot receiver, and just one of those guys that I think Patrick Mahomes is gonna love second he steps in to camp. So.
I want to preface this. There's absolutely no way Jerzon Newton is going to fall out of the first round. Like, I don't.
No.
I honestly, I messed that one up.
I don't see that happening.
But I also
Someone
don't
will
see Chop
take it.
Robinson falling out.
No, I don't see Chop falling out either. But like, if who
It's
did
tough.
we?
There's-
Yeah,
There's always one guy that falls. Maybe it's
Well,
Jerzon.
if you remember, who was it? Joey Porter was the guy last year.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone thought he was going to be a first round pick.
Everybody thought he was going to go top 15.
Then he
Yeah,
just
for a
didn't.
second. Maybe we're on to something, Nick.
We might be. I don't know.
Well, you got to remember, defensive interior really isn't something that's valued
it's not
position
valued as high.
too.
Yeah.
So
So
those
recap.
are some interesting trades in there, though.
There's our 4 trades. And then scroll down just to get a recap of how
That
teams will
Fashanu
win.
pick, that's pretty. That's a good start.
Yeah, when we did the mock draft 1.0, they obviously hadn't gotten Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
But now they could get a trio of Keenan Allen, Robadunze, and DJ Moore. And,
But I feel you just addressed other needs because you went out and didn't they get Gabe Davis?
no, that was Jacksonville.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Who's their 3 then?
Couldn't tell you.
Because Darnell Mooney
Went
went
to
to Atlanta. Who is their 3? I don't think he's very bad. But you still have Cole Kmet in there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
As long as you have, 3 quality receivers, whether that third guy is a tight end, I personally do not think it's that big of a deal. Their third wide receiver,
Ugh.
yeah,
It's probably Velus Jones or
Dante Pettis.
yeah.
So they could use
So
a third receiver,
they
but
could
they
use
have
3.
Cole Kmet. So it's it's not.
Yeah, there's
and
also,
Gerald Everett
Yeah.
it's a very deep receiver class as well. So you could get one
at the
second.
top of the
A
second
third
Troy
round.
round.
Franklin, a Keon Coleman, whoever you want.
Yeah, that's our mock draft 2.0. Let us know what you guys thought. Let us know if you liked the trades that we did. And yeah, the NFL draft is
Couple weeks away.
3 weeks out?
2 weeks out.
2
2 weeks
2
out.
weeks out. So
We
we'll
got
have
another-
one
I was
more
gonna say,
mock that is going to be what we think is going to happen. Hopefully, we have the whole crew for that one, but should be good.
that one should probably be what the day or two
Yeah,
before.
the week before. Probably
Yeah.
that Tuesday,
Yeah.
I would have to say.
Yeah.
Well,
on time.
good for you guys. My student teaching's done tomorrow, so I can actually stay up late.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
You
Good
like
stuff.
to hear.
Yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the draft content. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.